Remember when Hell in a Cell was not a pay-per-view and it was just the name of the most vicious and vile stipulation match that the WWE could offer? Me neither. And that's the problem, isn't it? So, imagine this situation. That I book a rivalry between two superstars. And they perform it so well, that the stakes are so high, that the only way to settle the score between the two is through a Hell in a Cell match. I need that Hell in a Cell match. The feud deserves a Hell in a Cell match. The two competitors warrant a Hell in a Cell match to end their rivalry. And the only reason why I cannot get that match for the two of them is because none of them are The Undertaker, and the next event in the calendar is not called Hell in a Cell. Can you imagine the irritation? The only two matches that have, I think, to the best of my memory, that have happened inside Hell in a Cell that were not a part of the Hell in a Cell chronology of events since 2009 are Undertaker versus Triple H, End of an Era, WrestleMania 28, and Undertaker versus Shane McMahon, WrestleMania 34 or 35 inside Hell in a Cell. Those are the only two that come to my mind. Anyway, the same irritation extends to TLC. I used to love when TLC matches were booked because of the performers involved, because of their talent, because the story dictated it. I miss stories dictating stipulation and not calendar. That said, let's have a look at the matches that have been announced for Hell in a Cell 2020. This is a predictions video as well as a preview. So, we have Jeff Hardy taking on Elias. Then we have Otis defending his Money in the Bank contract against The Miz. Sasha Banks challenges for the SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley inside Hell in a Cell. Randy Orton challenges for the WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell against Drew McIntyre. Roman Reigns defends his title against Jey Uso inside Hell in a Cell in an I Quit match. If Jey Uso fails to win the match and decides not to acknowledge Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, then the entire family of the Usos and their descendants will be expelled from the legendary wrestling family, the Anoa'i family. That is the stipulation attached to that match. So, let's go through the matches one by one, from the worst booked to the best booked, in my mind. First off, we have Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Imagine living in a world where you know that your injury was caused by Sheamus. It was clearly established in storyline that Sheamus caused your injury, which caused you to miss a lot of action. And you know that Jeff Hardy was framed by said redhead, Sheamus. And imagine being the person who has been booked as a very smart heel in the past, Elias. So imagine you're this smart heel character, and you're returning, and somehow you think that your tormentor, the person who's caused all your distress, is not Sheamus. Imagine thinking that it's Jeff Hardy. What's going on? Why? Why is this match being booked? Is this actually a running joke? Just like Lana being slammed through the announce desk 5 weeks in a row? It's just a continuation of the trend that Jeff Hardy gets attacked by any returning wrestler? It's a legitimate question. It is very hilarious what's happening, but I would like to know the inside joke. What is going on? But anyway, it's strange. It's very strange. Elias just looks stupid as a result. What is he even doing challenging Jeff Hardy? And where does Elias get all of his guitars? Is he that successful of a performer that he can just afford to break guitar after guitar on the back of superstar after superstar? There's no other weapon that he can think of? Maybe a lead pipe? Maybe a kendo stick? Anyway, I digress. I categorize my predictions into two. One is what I think should happen. That is my personal hope. And what I think will happen, which is my official prediction. So, with regards to this match, what do I think should happen? Elias has just returned. If he has any hope for being taken even a little bit seriously, he needs to win his return match. So I think he should win. What do I think will happen? I think Elias will win. I really hope that he wins. I really hope I'm right in thinking that he will win, because there is always a chance WWE just gives the babyface a cheap babyface win for no reason. No one benefits. Just Anyway, official prediction: Elias wins his return match. Then we have Otis versus The Miz. Now this is an example of a heel looking smart, because I'm correct in thinking that I was correct when I said that Otis should not have won the Money in the Bank briefcase. I hoped that Aleister Black won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Imagine him being the possessor of that briefcase right now. In spite of the butchering that WWE has conducted on his entire gimmick ever since Aleister Black was called up from NXT. Regardless of all of that, and in spite of all of that, you give that briefcase to Aleister Black for whatever reason right now, and WWE is a better place to watch wrestling. Anyway, patting myself on the back aside, Otis is a joke. That's just how he's been booked. Miz has called that out. Miz has said that Otis is not worthy of having the Money in the Bank contract, and that he diminishes the importance of the Money in the Bank contract itself. And Miz is not wrong. It is right. Miz had a very good promo, even though, as an aside, Miz's delivery has been much better in the past than it has been recently. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just me. Maybe his style has just developed, or maybe I'm just thinking of things that are not there. But anyway, Miz's points in the promo were completely true. I mean, if you want an example of how justified they were, it happened right after Otis came out disguised as a luchador called El Gran Gordo, which means the big fatso. Rough translation in Spanish. So can you just imagine, even if Otis somehow hangs on to this thing and then he cashes in and somehow wins, can you imagine the announcer saying, "And your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion," or, "And the new WWE Universal Champion, Otis." And then you see the guy who does these caterpillar worm moves and who always says "Take," and who has somehow been booked as part of this romantic angle with Mandy Rose, which has gone nowhere, and they were in complete obscurity for months at an end. That guy winning. Comedic characters have such a bad history with the Money in the Bank briefcase that it's hard to believe that WWE went to the same well and they're surprised that this happened. Okay. What do I think should happen? Miz should win it. Why? Because given where the two are in their respective careers and their characters, Otis is so far from being even a remotely threatening challenger to Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, AJ Styles, and on the other side, on the SmackDown side, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Shane, Big E, and Daniel Bryan. Otis is nowhere near the pedigree required to challenge any of those gentlemen. And Miz is not at the level of those gentlemen either, but he's closer. And he can make you take him seriously as a result of his promos. So, yeah, Miz should win. What I think will happen, I'd like to think that WWE would not go to the lengths that they have to make the storyline if the plan was anything else. They have to give the briefcase to Miz. It's much better. WWE is a much better place with The Miz having the Money in the Bank contract and not Otis right now. So I think that'll happen. I'm hoping, not completely against hope, that Miz will win this. So my official prediction is Miz wins. Then we have Sasha and Bayley. Okay, this might take a while. Along with all of the 3 Hell in a Cell matches that I have to dissect. Sasha Bayley, 2 of the, I'd say 5 people who have truly carried the WWE from March to, I'd say, late August. The Golden Role Models was more often than not, the most interesting thing on WWE television on both Raw and SmackDown and on NXT on occasion during the entire pandemic era. Then they had Bayley attack Sasha Banks in what was, I thought, the perfect moment. The attack could have been done better, but until that point, including and up to that point, I thought the program was being booked perfectly. I thought that Sasha would be away for a while. She could take some time off, come back, refreshed, win the Royal Rumble, challenge Bayley, and have a series of matches starting at WrestleMania. I just thought that would be a good way to acknowledge the work that these two ladies have put in during a very challenging time for the company as a whole. But instead, what we're getting is Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And the most infuriating thing is that attacks don't mean anything now. Sasha Banks returned after a couple weeks. How? For how bad you made the attack look, or how effective you made the attack look, she's not taking a hiatus. Now, let me play devil's advocate to that notion. Sasha Banks and Bayley will always have, after tonight, they will have that feather in the cap that, we had a Hell in a Cell match. That could go into the constant narrative of women's evolution that, two really strong female competitors had a Hell in a Cell match. Wow. But again, it's being dictated because of the calendar, not because of the intensity of the story. However, you could say that these two deserve a Hell in a Cell match. I'd say you are not wrong, but it should be the third or fourth match that these two ladies have, not the first one. You have to give back to the performers. Give back according to the body of work that they have produced over months. In their case, it is months. There were allies, there was dissension, then there was less dissension, and then at a very opportune moment, Bayley showed her true colors. She was insecure, and she had a Napoleon complex, I think. You could argue for that. And then she retaliated. It's a great story. You should write months of television for the two of them as rivals. But no. What do I think should happen? I think Bayley should win so that her amazing title run doesn't just end. I think she should be champion through WrestleMania. Through to WrestleMania. So Sasha loses, gets injured, goes away. You get a match with Belair and Bayley in which Belair looks very good and Bayley scrapes through with the title. You set up Belair to have a run later down the line. Sasha comes back, wins the Rumble, challenges Bayley at WrestleMania. They have a singles match. Sasha gets her win. And then Sasha does something that she has not done for years, or maybe even in her entire main roster career. She defends the title successfully against Bayley, then against Belair. But Belair and Sasha have a heated rivalry, and then at SummerSlam you have Bianca Belair dethrone Sasha Banks. That's what I would do. That's what I think should happen. What I think will happen is that the babyface gets a cheap babyface victory. It will feel good because Sasha Banks is that pedigree of superstar, but the story deserves having another chapter. Not just one, another couple of chapters at least. Because of how well they two have worked throughout the summer. It just should happen, but we'll see if I'm even remotely correct. Moving on to Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Oh, geez, this is going to take another few minutes. This feud was booked so well until SummerSlam. There was so much buzz. And I thought it was booked perfectly. Even there, I thought, they shot a lot of their bullets too soon, which was when Drew McIntyre just called Orton out for being the chosen one, in the sense that Orton got away with so many things that Drew didn't. Drew was fired and Orton wasn't fired, and the real life disdain that Drew probably felt toward Orton. So that was a meaty part, right? They could have used that for the Hell in a Cell build-up and not have Hell in a Cell simply based on, hey, Orton, you hit the legends again. So, I mean, it's funny. For all the greatness attached to McIntyre's run, and there is, or McIntyre's been a great champion, great babyface champion, which is a rare thing. For all of that, almost the entire build-up of all McIntyre-Orton matches has been a subset of Orton's overarching rivalry with Edge, which has been the best rivalry of the entire year, by a mile for me. Best booked, best performed, best delivery of matches. I even like their WrestleMania match, contrary to what a lot of people thought. It's fine. Anyway, so Orton lost the SummerSlam match. It's a good thing that he did, because I was always advocating for that. In the SummerSlam predictions video, you'll find me saying that Drew McIntyre needs that feather in his cap that he beat Randy Orton at SummerSlam defending the WWE Championship. And he did that, and that'll always be with him. In my mind, that solidified his reign properly, regardless of the, what do you call it, a jackknife? No, it's not a jackknife cover. It's just a roll-up. Hook the shoulders. Doesn't matter. It's a clean win. And he got it. And then in the ambulance match, Orton lost. That would have been the perfect way to give the title to Orton and still have McIntyre looking strong. Just have Orton win the title, caused also by some interference with Retribution, or even Lashley, just somebody. Just get the title off McIntyre. Don't make McIntyre look weak. You get the title on Orton, and the feud is on pause. On pause. Not finished. Because McIntyre will win the title later down the line. But that didn't happen. Orton lost again, after also losing to Keith Lee at Payback in a glorified squash, the effect of which has been neutralized ever since, because Keith Lee, in the most recent episode of Raw, lost to Braun Strowman. So essentially the logic is that Keith Lee is that great that he beats Randy Orton in 6 minutes, and he cannot defeat Braun Strowman. This is Randy Orton's arguably best overall performance in a year. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. This is arguably in the top 2 of Orton's best years in the WWE from an all-around performance perspective. Promos, ring work, motivation in the ring, smoothness, all of that. Anyway, so Orton is running the risk of losing, I think, his 6th consecutive world title match, dating back to 2017. Orton's heel work has been legendary, especially this year, also 2009, also sometimes 2014, but not really. So this is 2009, 2008, 9, and then 2020. I think those are the best years from a performance perspective from Orton. But if he keeps losing, his stock drops significantly. I would not take him seriously for the 3rd match against Edge, which is also going to mean another victory for Edge. Anyway, Edge Orton 3 means an Edge victory. If Orton loses again, he loses all the momentum that he's built on the back of legendary work with Edge. So it's boggling to me what's going on, because it looks like Orton will lose again, because it's Hell in a Cell, and they've built up this fact that, oh my god, Drew McIntyre's never been inside Hell in a Cell, and Orton's been a great performer. Orton's won 4 out of 7 matches. I wouldn't say that's a great performer inside Hell in a Cell. Some of his victories have been fluke victories. Shawn Michaels kicked Daniel Bryan, and Orton picked up the scraps from that. A few of his Hell in a Cell victories have been by fluke, but no one mentions that. A W is a W, which it should be. But because they highlight this fact that, Orton is a Hell in a Cell veteran, and McIntyre's never been in a Hell in a Cell match, McIntyre's going to win. I think so. And McIntyre, I think, has been a fantastic champion. He should lose the title without getting pinned. That's just what I think. But it can't happen now. It was a major possibility for the ambulance match at Clash of Champions, but they wasted that. I would have had the Legends appear here. With Orton coming in as a champion, the Legends appear, distracting Orton, because the Legends have their entrances and everything, distracting Orton. McIntyre takes advantage of that, gets his title back, is a 2-time champion after a Hell in a Cell. Orton gets a title run, a short one at that, but then the focus is again back to Orton versus the Legends, which is a segue to Orton versus Edge later down the line, when Edge is cleared. That's how I would have done it. But alas, we have Orton about to hopefully win. I mean, that's why I think Orton should win, because he's performed way too well, and he's not a washed-up veteran that he just needs to put over people. He's put McIntyre over twice. By hook or by crook, he has to win to continue some modicum of momentum that he's built up in 2020. And McIntyre should win the title later. They've already booked this feud around finishers since SummerSlam. Not even that. The punt is ruined. They booked this thing around finishers since SummerSlam, and it's been very hit and miss, just brawling all over the place. Medium to good promos. The good promos mostly coming from Orton. It's lost all heat. Orton and McIntyre could have had a very long rivalry. It already feels very long because the booking has been bad since SummerSlam. But I truly believe that there should be a pause to this rivalry after Orton hopefully wins tonight. And I hope that no one ever kicks out of the damn punt. That's one of the main things that I hope for, regardless of Orton winning or losing. There's a video on this channel about the punt and how it's been mistreated, and it should never be kicked out of, similar to how The Undertaker should never have lost at WrestleMania. Mystique, history, respect for things, preserving mystique. Anyway, I digress. Prediction time. What do I think should happen? I think Orton should win, because there are bigger, brighter things for Orton to do later on. Even in the feud against Bray Wyatt, which is very possible. I hope Orton doesn't spam the punt. Now, the kick to the skull, as they call it. If the punt strikes, if the punt connects, the match is over. That's how it always should be. Similar to Razor's Edge. Anyway, what do I think should happen? Like I said, Orton should win. What do I think will happen? I think McIntyre's going to win. To, again, legitimize his title run. The man is a made man. McIntyre is a made man. He's already been legitimized. He needs to be a multiple-time champion now. He can win it back when the crowds are there, or he can win it back sooner. He can win it back as soon as TLC. Have him around the same title picture that he deserves to be around. He's been an exemplary champion. That does not mean that every title reign needs to be a year long. WWE has made a young superstar, which is Drew McIntyre. Younger. 35 is not exactly young, but he's still younger. So take advantage of that. Hopefully they can. We'll see. Now, moving on. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Hell in a Cell, I Quit match. Last 3 SmackDowns, very well booked segments between these two. Roman Reigns is embracing his darker persona. The Tribal Chief gimmick has been easily the most engaging he's been, the most comfortable he's looked, the most motivated he's been by a mile. He's not bland. And I am all for Roman Reigns winning everything that comes his way for a while, maybe up until WrestleMania. There are a lot of undertones to that. Because this is going to sound as if I hate him. I don't. It's just a question of, when is Reigns going to be able to put over anybody? Reigns has not put over anybody not named Brock Lesnar. And Lesnar is not a regular superstar who can enjoy the benefits, really, of being put over that often. Roman Reigns is the only feud he's ever lost is probably Brock Lesnar. And even then, he won the last match, which was SummerSlam 2018, I want to say. Yeah. So, Roman Reigns has never lost a single rivalry in his entire career. Let that sink in. Now, the other downside of this feud is for poor Jey Uso. Let the performers be themselves, let them talk, don't script them down to a T, and see what happens. See what happens. The segments have felt organic. Jey Uso sounded as motivated as anybody has sounded in a long time. It just goes to show there is the capability in superstars to be at least the 1B. Jey Uso, I'm not sure if he's ready to be the man of the company. I don't think that's in the realm of possibility right now. But he has the ability to be built to be one, which he's showing now. But he is collateral damage to the overarching storyline, which is Roman Reigns' new character. We've already heard in interviews with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns that this is not the final version of the new Roman Reigns that we are about to get. There's going to be new theme music. There are probably going to be new layers. I think there's a Bloodlines faction coming at the end of this feud between Jey and Roman, which is Jimmy and Jey joining Roman and building the faction, which has been rumored to be called Bloodlines. We'll see how well that transpires. But it's just that Jey Uso is going to be a casualty in service of Roman Reigns' new character. Which is why I'm so glad that Big E lost, or rather Big E was attacked by Sheamus so that Big E could not be part of the Fatal 4-Way match, which Jey Uso ultimately won to be inserted into the WWE Universal Championship picture. Because Big E should not be fed to Roman. Daniel Bryan should not be fed to Roman. You can feed... Well, who can you feed to Roman? Everybody else, essentially. You can feed Sami Zayn to Roman. You can feed Seth Rollins to Roman. Seth Rollins is... He's in the caboose of his career right now. He's got the birth of his child coming up. He's going to put over Rey Mysterio, who'll get his win back. Mysterio will. And then Seth Rollins can have a great one-off match with Roman, which he loses, further contributing to the credibility of Roman Reigns' new character. Who else can you feed to Roman? Well, you can let me know in the comments. Who do you think should be fed to Roman, can afford to? Because otherwise Roman's reign is going to just continue, and the casualties are going to be plenty. Because right now no one's going to beat him. Kevin Owens, I don't think he should be fed to Roman either. That's a good rivalry. But at the same time, another reason why I want Roman Reigns to hold on to the title at least until WrestleMania is this. Otherwise, he's going to lose the championship and he's going to win it back immediately. Because that's what Reigns does. He doesn't lose. He doesn't have very long title reigns, and he keeps getting these cheap wins, which keep padding the total championships that he's won. Similar to Charlotte Flair, even though Charlotte Flair's case is much more revolting because she just loses, immediately wins it. A week-long feud, wins it back. What the hell? Anyway, I digress again. So, what do I think should happen? If not for the fact that I don't want Roman Reigns to lose the title just yet so that he can win it back immediately, if not for that, I would have said I want Jey Uso to win after Jimmy Uso helps Jey and they use the weapons that they're allowed to use one after another, and then Roman Reigns passes out. The I Quit match is stopped because no one says I quit. It's just a knockout. Roman Reigns cannot continue, and the title changes hands to Jey Uso. That's what that's how I would have booked this match if it was independent of the championship. But anyway, I want Roman to have the championship. I am somewhat excited about the Bloodline faction, so I will have Roman Reigns beat Jey, and Jey acknowledges Roman as the tribal chief in a wholesome family moment, so that Jey and Jimmy are not exiled from the family. Even though, you have to think back at this whole thing as well. How much mention does this fact that Jey and Jimmy are part of the Noah family, how much importance has that been given over the years? It's only been highlighted now that Reigns has been marketed as the tribal chief. So would they be losing a whole lot? Are they not going to be talking to their parents if that happens? Are they going to be disrespected? Are they not going to be called for Sunday dinners or Thanksgiving meals if Jey does not acknowledge Roman? Is that going to happen? These are the questions that I ask when you have these monumental, biggest stakes matches. But anyway, I digress. In kayfabe, this means a great deal, so I'll give it to him. Reigns should win. Reigns will win. That is my official prediction. Let's see how it goes. The three matches, like I said, no matter my qualms with the calendar dictating the stipulation, but these three matches have the potential to be, all of them have the potential to be show stealers. And I think Reigns and Jey will steal the show, and they will go on last. Just how it is perceived by WWE, and because Roman Reigns is a ratings spiker. So we'll see how it goes. Here's to a great event so far. And as a bonus, if Keith Lee and Braun Strowman go at it, given how Keith Lee has lost to Braun Strowman because of a low blow, doesn't matter, he still took the L after squashing Randy Orton at Payback, Keith Lee should win his match against Braun Strowman. Categorically clean. No arguments, no low blows, simple hand-to-hand fight. Keith Lee destroys Braun Strowman. He destroys a former Universal Champion, a recent Universal Champion, and gets some of the massive momentum he's lost back. So, with that said, I will see you again for the review video of WWE Hell in a Cell 2020. Till next time, this is Duncan Lievi for Lievi on Wrestling.